Greetings, YouTube. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was created by Richard Nixon. Yes, the Richard Nixon. Tricky Dick, a guy who at the time was seen as archly conservative and nowadays couldn't get elected to president within the Republican Party if he bribed every single member of Congress there was. Says he's considered far too liberal in modern terms than they particularly like nowadays. Even though he was not liberal in any way, shape, or form, he created the EPA as a reaction to what he saw the sea change in the country happening. And he thought, if I get ahead of this, if I create this agency, I will help prevent worse things come down the line if the American people really get riled up. So that's why the EPA was created. That's why OSHA was created for the same reason, the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1971. And prior to the EPA, I don't think you know how bad it was. There were rivers and lakes on fire. There was an oil slick around the Statue of Liberty, which is a symbol of the situation, pretty much the best I can think of. America had skies so dark you couldn't see through them in many cities. The air wasn't just grayish, it was brown. Our pollution levels are horrible, but back then they were far worse. The air and the water was toxic, and we were choking the planet at a rate that was unbelievable. And thanks to the efforts of the EPA, we have forestalled that, slowed it, even though there are still too many poisons in our environment, most of them coming from corporate America. And we need to do something about that. So, what is the current administration doing about that? Gutting the EPA. The EPA helps to make sure that we have clean air and clean water. How anyone can be opposed to clean air and clean water, because even if you say, well, I drink nothing but processed water, you still breathe the same air. You are not breathing exclusive bottled air. This is not a Mel Brooks movie. This is the real world. And we need to make sure we take care of our environment. That we make sure that the plants and the animals that exist now continue to exist. The ones that are endangered we should make every effort to make them not endangered, because we are part of an entire environment. It is a biological web. And if you pluck enough strings on a web and destroy them, eventually the entire web collapses. If the entire web collapses, guess who is going to collapse with it? Us. We can mess with the environment to the point where it will no longer support human life. The earth will always support life. The earth itself will be fine. It just may be a place without us. And if you have children or grandchildren, you may want to think about the fact that, you might want the world to still be here so you can have great-grandchildren. As it is now, we're looking at temperature rises. They'll be growing citrus in England. But the EPA is out there to save us in a more immediate manner. The immediate air and water that we process every single day of our lives, that we need to live. They're an important agency, and we shouldn't be putting people in charge of them who are part of the problem. So talk to your Congress members and tell them you want the EPA to be funded, you want the EPA to exist, you want the EPA to be directed by someone who's actually concerned about the air and water that you breathe, the land that grows your food. That we have to care for the planet so the planet will care for us. That we do not want that biological web broken, because we would really rather not denude the planet of all human life. Unless, of course, that's the GOP's goal, to denude the planet of all human life. Because maybe there really are cockroaches just wearing human masks.